Welcome to the Goddesses of Social Work podcast, hosted by Renita Ray Davis, licensed clinical social worker, board-approved social work clinical supervisor, and facilitator of the Goddesses of Social Work supervision community. Join us as we travel through the social work journeys told by the Goddesses of Social Work community members, past and present, as they make their way toward clinical licensure.
Welcome to this special episode of the Goddesses of Social Work podcast in recognition of Social Work Month, where the NASW theme for 2024 is Empowering Social Workers, Inspiring Action, Leading Change. On today's episode, we welcome Corisa Davis, LMSW. Corisa Davis is a 28-year-old licensed master social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. As the eldest daughter and a first-generation graduate, Corisa embarked on her journey in social work with a heartfelt mission to empower individuals towards self-sufficiency by connecting them with vital community resources. Throughout her fulfilling career, she has compassionately served diverse populations in various settings, including schools, skilled nursing facilities, and behavioral health centers. Presently, Corisa is a mental health professional at a correctional facility in Alabama where she advocates for mental wellness and treatment. Welcome to the show, Corisa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Corisa, the motivation behind this year's Social Work Month theme proposed by the NASW, Empowering Social Workers, Inspiring Action, Leading Change, states that social workers need support to meet the high demand for their vital work and should get higher pay. What has been your experience, Corisa, with the salary gap within the social work profession? Have you had any experience having to negotiate your salary? And if so, and or not, what advice would you give other social workers who may be struggling with salary negotiation?
I think the salary gap for social workers is it's insulting, really. There's no reason why I should have a master's and be offered anything like 50 and 55,000, but you want me to do such a vital role that could potentially make me lose my license, lose my livelihood and credibility, and then offer me, pennies on the dollar, and then sit here and have me, whether I'm in medical or not, do the same role as a nurse if I'm going into case management, and then tell me a nurse is making significantly more than me with a bachelor's compared to my master's, and not devaluing what the nurses do because I can't do it. I'm not doing blood. I'm not doing all that other stuff. But my role is also vital because whereas they can handle the medical things, I have the soft skills to bring people back down. Somebody might find out they have to go to hospice. A nurse is very just blunt and dry, and I have to like sit and pretty much talk to them about it. So I think we think of the hard skills as vital, but soft skills that social workers possess and have they're really important. As far as salary negotiation, I think when I went to the SNF, I negotiated because they were just wanting an LBSW, and I had my master's. And I was like, well, I can offer some kind of counseling to the residents at the facility. So I believe I do deserve a higher rate because that's something y'all gonna lean on me for. So why not get my money in the front? And then when I ended up at the prison, I threw out a number that I thought was just gonna be like super high, and it was like okay, and I was like, dang, maybe I should have asked for a little more. So I say go higher than what you even think they're offering you because they'll meet you. They only say yes or no, and there's a plenty of jobs out here. Um, so I think just ask for more. Don't be scared to say no to a job. Don't be afraid to walk away. You'll find something out there for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Carissa, when you went to SNF and you knew that it only or required a LBSW or BSW, was that one of the first times you experienced salary negotiation for yourself?
Um, yeah, yeah, no. The first job I had straight out of grad school, it was like court referral, and I made like no money. And I got like an extra 1,000 to 2,000, which wasn't anything. But it was the pandemic. I had just graduated. They weren't offering jobs like that just because of COVID and them locking everything down. So, but when I got to the SNP, that was really the time where I was able to like fully negotiate how I thought I should be able to.
how did you know to go ahead and negotiate, right? Because some people, they'll just take the salary that is being offered, but it sounds like you knew to go
Mhm.
ahead and negotiate for a higher salary. Where did that skill set come from for you? Was that something you learned in graduate school, or how did you know?
Well, I like money, first off. But second off, we had a presenter come, and she came for our bachelor's and grad school because I went to the same school, and she always told us never take first offer. And so that was something that I learned, and I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with asking. And even if their first offer is something that I would gladly accept, I still, try to go a little higher just to see if they have it in their budget.
Absolutely, yeah. I talk to a lot of social workers who are scared to ask. They don't, we advocate a lot for our clients, but we don't know how to advocate for ourselves. With that being one of the first time you're having to ask for something higher for yourself, what emotions were you experiencing and how did you overcome those?
Um, my emotions weren't like really high. I say what I'm gonna say, and I'll do what I do, and whatever my answer is what I get. Because I know it's a multitude of jobs out there, and I'm somebody that quits jobs quite frequently, so it didn't matter. I was gonna find someone else that would have took me. This just my little stopping place right now. You just a little stop sign for me in my life. So, but I'm gonna keep going. So it's either yay or nay.
I love your confidence. I love that, Carissa. And so then you went to the prison, and I had an experience like that where I thought I was asking, this is over a decade ago, I thought I was asking for significant amount, and they were so quick to say yes. And I found out later other people on the same line as me were making significantly more. I'm not saying that's your experience, but when they
Mhm.
did say yes so quickly, it feels like you immediately learned a lesson. And I guess I want to know, what would you do different now expressing that amount of money to them, knowing that they said quickly yes? What would you do differently now?
I'd probably add like $5,000 or $10,000 more to what I really want, just to see if it's like how much more will their budget stretch. And then if you're really high achiever and high performer, even when raises come around, ask for more. Um, and so I am kind of in that situation now where we switched over companies, and I was brought in at the base salary, but I found out other people were making significantly more than me, even though they had less career experience. And when I tried to negotiate, they said, well, you transitioned over, you're not a new employee. And but I took that and I started looking for another job. So that it is what it is. So I play a game that they're gonna play.
Absolutely. That's what I was wondering. So, you are experiencing what I experienced then. And
Yeah.
so, but you're not going to jump ship until you have another job. But what I'm hearing you say is you at least asked, right?
Hmm.
You didn't just sit there and be bitter. You
Yeah.
asked, they gave you the answer, and you're
Hmm.
like, that's going to be their answer, but that doesn't mean that I'm paralyzed in the situation that I'm in now.
Right.
So right now you're moving when you
Yeah.
can, when you can. Yes, awesome.
Definitely.
Um, Carissa, as the NASW has shared in its press release and proclamation for Social Work Month, social work is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States, and that we are on the front line for some of the toughest crises this nation has faced. Can you give me an example or examples of your frontline experience? And what advice would you give to social workers who are going to be entering the field over the next few years?
I think you gotta take care of yourself. I just being in the setting I am now, it's probably one of the most violent settings that you can encounter from seeing people overdosing and seeing people almost dying and seeing a plethora of things. You have to take care of yourself. Um, we talk about empowering clients, but we don't talk about us as the professionals enough. You know, like it's all fine and dandy, but what if all of us get burnt out? The clients aren't gonna have anybody, so you have to take care of yourself. That's the main thing. Get you a therapist. I have a therapist. I've been in therapy since undergrad. Get you a good circle of friends. And if you're not like a super extroverted person. Just have somebody to lean on, whether it's in this profession, and get somebody outside the profession so y'all can talk about something else other than what's going on in the social work world. So find your tribe and take care of yourself so you can take care of the clients you serve.
Absolutely. You got to take care of you first before you can take care of others. I love that. What have been some of your frontline experiences as we are in these national crises?
I think right now, um, the co-occurring drug use and mental health together has been quite significant. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? We don't know if the substance abuse caused the psychosis. We don't know if the psychosis led you to using drugs to try to medicate it. So it's like, how do I go about treating it? Because if it's just the drugs that's caused the issue, we can start with like some harm reduction. But if it's the psychosis that's causing the drug issue, now we really have two things to kind of work on at the same time. So I think it's good to work with your provider if you have a provider that you're working with, and just educating the clients on like the stigmas facing the mental health or drug use, because I think even though mental health is becoming more prevalent, we're still not talking about drug use how we should, besides opioids. We like to talk about opioids, but we don't like to talk about meth and heroin and all the other like grimy stuff. We think about the cute and the frou-frou drugs that the Hollywood people use, but it's the real drugs that's causing, the hard drugs that's causing the vital issues. So I think that's something that I see
A-
a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your work, by the way, because you're right. It's grimy work, right? And so thank you for your work, Carissa. Carissa, you're going to be at LCSW the next year or so. That is the highest license that is recognized by this profession. I'm so proud of
Mhm.
you. With that license, Carissa, comes an energy of leadership within the profession, right?
Mhm.
So I'm curious, how do you see yourself as an agent of change, and what changes would you like to see happen within social work?
That's a good question. Um, Within social work, I want us to do a better job at advocating for who we are and what we do. And like saying, no, it's not just about DHR. It's not just about this, A, B, C, and D. Because we are such a vast field, it's hard to kind of compile us into one just single area. But we can say, this is what we do. We are agents of change. We are the people who you look to for solutions. And I not just social work. I don't want just social work to change. I want it to become where us as society becomes more preventative than reactive. Like step to social workers to see what we can do to prevent the solution rather than having us step in to like resolve everything. Because if we started the beginning, it's easier. We save money even though we think we're spending a lot. You save a lot of money in the end. Um, so I really wish we would become more preventative as a group in a profession.
Absolutely. Prevention work is needed. Yeah. In the work that you're doing now, which is at the prison system, and I feel like I know the answer. I don't even know why I'm asking, but I'm going to. Where are there any preventative programs happening there at all?
I mean, I'm sure the state would like to say yes, but no, not really. Because it can be preventative if the drugs stop coming in first, or it can be preventative if, companies wouldn't make those that have had mental health treatment in the past go through so many trials to say, okay, now we'll pay for Seroquel, or now we'll pay for the Abilify. Like that's not preventative. If this person has come off the street, has been in mental health treatment for 20 years, and now we have to go through trials, it's not preventative, it's not ethical, and it's not morally right. So I don't think, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. In your leadership role as a clinical social worker, are you wanting to stay more with the direct practice, or can you see yourself with policy reform, doing some policy reform?
I still don't know. I,
Mhm.
I like I like client interaction. Even when I did like you are at the hospital, I missed that client interaction. So I don't know if it's gonna be something where I can save myself in policy, or I can probably do both. I don't know. You know, I'm a baby social worker. I've only been in this 3, almost 4 years. So I don't know what the future holds, but hopefully I can do something and impact change nationally rather than just, one person.
I think you're doing that today. I think you're doing that today. Carissa, thank you so much for coming on the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. It has just been such a joy
Thank
listening to
you.
your energy. I love it. We are lucky to have you. This profession is lucky to have you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. We are glad you were here. If you like this episode, please come back to hear more stories of the journeys through social work, and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. See you next time here on the Goddesses of Social Work podcast.